I'm making this video for September 2016, the upcoming month of September, or the month of September when you're watching this. So I'm going to go through about 10 indicators, something like that. So the first one is September 5th, and we're going to see Mercury turn direct in Leo. So Mercury's been retrograde for several weeks, and this is going to be a time when we hopefully can start moving forward on some of the things we've been reflecting on. So Mercury in Leo has been where we're reflecting on how we communicate with our own self in relation to our power, and what's the true power of our words. I say power because it's Leo. And what is the real power that our words have, externally and internally? And so Mercury in Leo can tend to use language to coerce and to dominate if we're not careful, or use words to puff up our own arrogance and ego. So this retrograde cycle of Mercury through Leo has been a time where we hopefully have gotten the message to improve that and to be humble, to be reverent, and particularly to honor our teachers and our ancestors, because much of that, or most of that, if not all of it, happened in the nakshatra of Magha, which is about the Pitris and the divine ancestors. We've seen with this Mercury retrograde in Leo these marches and the issues in the United States of politics between things like white supremacy and all of these things that we thought we had dealt with. I've also seen it online, explosions around teachings and a lot of arguments even about astrology and Western and Vedic astrology, talking about the traditions and really getting down, and people getting back to establishing these teachings because Mercury has been retrograde in Magha nakshatra, and so it's going to move forward again September 5th, so it's a time for us to advance hopefully together at that time. Then on September 6th, which is the day after, we have the full moon in Aquarius, which is going to be opposite the sun in Leo. The last lunation cycle was the eclipse on August 21st. So now we have the moon at the halfway point in that cycle in Aquarius. This is a time for us to again really harmonize that energy of Leo, particularly that recent Leo new moon, which was, as I said, and the solar eclipse. So it's a time for us to really connect our individual and personal power of Leo with the collective, with the culture. The king and the kingdom are related. The king is Leo, the kingdom is Aquarius. So it's a great time for you to really listen to the words that are coming back from the kingdom, from the people around you, so that you can better serve, so you can better empower those that you love and those messages that you want to resonate. And so full moons are where we're pulled in that opposite direction. So pay attention on September 6th to see what are people saying about you and how can you adjust that message to reach a greater audience and not sell your own integrity down the drain. This is the compromise of a king, is to keep the message pure but also to adapt it to the kingdom so that everyone flourishes. And it's going to happen in Shatabhishak nakshatra. Shatabhishak is ruled by the god Varuna, who is the god of the celestial waters, the upper atmosphere, and the clouds full of healing potential, and the rains that are about to shower us with grace. So it's a nakshatra of genius and of inspiration and of healing. So again, it's a great time to pay attention to healing messages that come, and hopefully healing for the earth, where we are starting to come together around such, some of these divisive issues that we've seen this month. And so then shortly thereafter we have this September 7th and 8th, the moon goes into Pisces, where it's going to be opposite Jupiter in Virgo. So Jupiter is about to move into Libra, and its last sort of passage, or I should say the last time that the moon goes through Pisces, it's going to be aspected by Jupiter in Virgo. So this is a great time to bring together the metaphysics and mysticism of Pisces and Jupiter in, and the moon in Pisces, where we're looking to surrender and to merge with that metaphysical joy of life. And it'll be opposite, again, Jupiter in Virgo. Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces, and this transit of Jupiter through Virgo has been quite tricky, where we're trying to get our head around confusing ideas of, how to connect with something beyond the Earth and yet stay practical about the details on Earth. So this last passage, this last Moon-Jupiter opposition before Jupiter goes into Libra will happen on September 7th and 8th. So a great time to really embody your spiritual practice and your metaphysics and your creativity into things that are, again, practical, methodical, and useful. Then, September 9th, shortly thereafter, we have the lunar nodes changing and moving from the Leo-Aquarius axis, where it's been since January 2016, January-February 2016, to the Cancer-Capricorn axis. So based on Lahiri, I'm sure we're calling it September the 9th. Big shift. I've done a whole web class on this that you should watch. I'll put a link in the description of the video here, and also on this article, so you can watch that shift of the nodes and the recent eclipse in Leo to the Cancer Capricorn axis. So you should know what this is going to mean for your sign, and it's a free web class that you can watch. Of course, it's going to be a shift away from all of that personal power and purpose of Leo for the last couple years, or for the last year and a half, to that emotional, sort of intuitive nature and quality shown by the sign of Cancer. So usually wherever Rahu is, that's driving the agenda more, and in fact the Ketu end of the agenda gets kind of sublimated or overlooked. We've certainly seen that the last year and a half with the rise of dictators and hardline nationalists, and again people like Trump and Putin and these very Leo kind of figures. So again, this was when Rahu went through Leo and Ketu was in Aquarius, kind of negating the public, which is what Aquarius is. Now we're going to have Rahu go into Cancer, which is very much about the heart, the home, our deeper feelings, and a more feminine, a more divine feminine response, hopefully, right? So that's what we can expect. So again, watch the web class as well. Everybody should watch this, because I talk about all 12 signs in that web class as well. So then September 12th, indeed, Jupiter enters Libra, where it's going to be for the next year or so. I also have a free web class on that. And again, these web classes are because they're like an hour long and they're a teaching, and I want you to kind of get your head rather than just watch another YouTube video. It's a time, you just have to give your email address and then you can watch it. So Jupiter in Libra for the next year really has a lot to do with social justice and equality and looking for the higher social purpose and social justice. That's the kind of, you would say, sort of catchphrase, or the sort of idea that you want to get your head around, because Jupiter is about the higher purpose, the higher function, the higher teaching, the higher meaning, and what inspires us. And Libra is about our personal relationships, but also it's about, especially the influence of Jupiter takes it to a level where our personal relationship is less important than the social contract that we have with each other. That kind of makes it sort of Aquarius-like. But again, also in our personal relationships, we're going to find a lot of inspiration and hope in this whole idea of Libra, which is the power to compromise and to share rather than to extract value for ourselves or to be self-motivated. Libra is about the sharing, and Jupiter is going to bring a lot of lessons around that part of our life for the next year. Watch the web class because I go into it in great detail. But that's September 12th. We'll see a big shift. Then September 18th through 19th, the moon is in Leo, and it's joined Venus, Mars, and Mercury. So a lot of intensity. September 18th and 19th. Again, moon in Leo joined Venus, Mars, Mercury. So in particular, Venus, Mars joining is a big thing as well. But also with the Moon and Mercury there, there's just a lot of relationship energy and potential combativeness, and real potential for arguments and fights and struggles. When Mars-Mercury join, there's certainly the tendency for battling and fighting over words that cut. And again, when Mars-Venus join, there's a lot of passion. And so, the Moon is going to join all of this September 18th and 19th. Look for some potential explosive ideas in the world at that time, where we might see some, shocking news, scandalous kind of news come out, and just on a personal level, it could be quite, as we say, intense, right? And watch your ego. And be careful what you're fighting for on those days. Try to be more of a peacemaker, and just notice, try not to get sucked into email fights and battles, and you might regret it. In fact, I'm sure you will. So September 19th, we have the new moon in Virgo. So we start that new moon cycle, sun and moon join, and when we have a new moon, it's the beginning of a new cycle. Of course, I've been doing new moon forecasts for more than a decade, and these are very important. So wherever the new moon falls from your ascendant, this will be a big cycle for you at that time. But for all of us, it's a new moon in Virgo, which is about details, organization. Virgo is the sign that comes after Leo. Again, Leo is the kingdom and all the power. But in order to have the kingdom run efficiently and run very well, we need to organize all of that power into an effective, some form of bureaucracy and system and, all of those things. And so in Virgo, we're a very effective manager of all of that power. And everything, filters down into these micro tasks. And so when someone really grows their kingdom, it's because they are willing to manage all of the work that accompanies, building a big kingdom. So this will be big for the next 30 days, starting on September 19th. And this new moon is in Uttar Falguni Nakshatra. Uttar Falguni is ruled by the god Aryaman, who is the god of contracts and official business, and for instance, getting married or having a business deal. And in the Vedas, he was often paired with the god Mitra, who is the god of friendliness and divine friendship. So of course, to have a friendly relationship with someone who you're in a contract with is quite a blessing. So this will be an intention for the next 30 days, starting on September 19th. And again, you should join my member site and get daily forecast and extensive new moon and full moon forecast, only 50 cents. You can try it for 14 days if you're not a member. Then September 22nd and 23rd, the moon is joined Jupiter in Libra. So remember, the last moon Jupiter that we just talked about was when the moon was opposite Jupiter, when the moon was in Pisces and Jupiter was at the end of Virgo, and I said this is the last time, because the next time moon and Jupiter associate, Jupiter is going to be in Libra. So this is the first conjunction of the moon and Jupiter since Jupiter has gone into Libra. Of course, the moon is very important because it's our daily feeling and our daily sort of collective karma, you might say. This is why in Vedic astrology we really track the moon every day, because it moves into a different nakshatra every day. It has a different tithi every day approximately. And so this Jupiter-Moon conjunction in Libra will be really kind of the first couple days, September 22nd and 23rd, where we get to really feel how that Jupiter in Libra transit for the next year is going to feel to us. It's very simple. We feel it. This is why when I just talked about the moon going through Leo, join Venus, Mars, and Mercury, we're going to feel all of that energy. We're going to feel the moon in Leo, which is excited and passionate, and then moon, Mars, and Venus, Mercury, Mars, and Venus fighting for that energy. So September 22nd and 23rd, we're going to really feel that Jupiter in Libra. So pay attention that day and look up in the sky, because there's few things more gorgeous to look at than a Moon-Jupiter conjunction. And Jupiter's pretty close to the Sun, so it's almost combust. So it's pretty far away, but Jupiter is still the brightest sky object next to the Moon and Venus. So it'll still look beautiful in the sky. But you'll really feel what Jupiter in Libra is going to be for the next year on those 2 days. And then finally, the last major event will be September 24th and 25th. The Moon will be joined Saturn in Scorpio. So Saturn has been hovering around 27 degrees Scorpio for months because it went retrograde and then stationary retrograde, then stationary direct, and it just kind of stops at about 27 degrees. So September 24th and 25th, the Moon will be in Scorpio, where it's in its debilitated state, where the emotions are intense and vulnerable, and we can tend to lash out and be, paranoid and reactionary and jealous and weird ideas because we're feeling vulnerable. Plus it's joined Saturn, which is trying to control things and realizing that we don't have any control. And so this could be an intense couple of days, difficult couple of days, for sure, September 24th and 25th, but also there's great humility and compassion and devotion possible, because the Moon in Scorpio is also very devotional, as Scorpio is an extremely devotional sign with a lot of emotional courage. But again, you can say emotional courage, that doesn't mean the courage to argue with people and fight with them. Yeah, I'm not afraid to fight with somebody. That ain't what I mean by emotional courage. Sometimes that's needed, but very rare. That's usually not emotional courage. Real courage is in some form of action, and it's usually not driven by anger. So real emotional courage is the courage to endure and to receive without jumping out of our skin and having to dump it on somebody else. And that's the hardest thing to do. And this is where Scorpio energy gets very diabolical. So September 24th and 25th, be careful of that, and instead use the power of Saturn to stabilize and sensitize your feelings in your heart and go deeper into that pure love and devotion in your heart. So check out the links also below this video and register for the Nodes web class. Again, it's free, and you can pick several times that work for you, and there's also a replay available, but you need to register for it. It's just an email. It's free. And the same way with the Jupiter in Libra web class. You'll learn a lot. You'll learn a lot about how to evaluate planets and signs and a lot of other things also. So I hope you have a great September, and leave me some comments, let me know.